All right, friends, welcome. Okay, what do we got today? We got not full moon, new moon, solar eclipse, partial solar eclipse, Saturn changing transits. That's a major event. And when that happens, it all happens in one day. March 29th is the day. And various timings, on Earth, it's in the morning hours, early morning hours. In the States, it's kind of midday going down in Morocco, England, Portugal, that kind of slice. So India is going to be a little bit later, but still within the 29th. So that's the day. We start with that new moon, and then we go right into the solar eclipse. So, like Earth is, I think Earth is the one moving between moon and sun, or it's one of those. Moon moves between one of those. And in the Vedic view, this is Rahu um, conjoining. And so the north node of the moon is who's eating the sun in this one. And where this is happening in the zodiac is in sidereal Pisces. And just doing a little multitasking. Sidereal Pisces, the end of the zodiac, a watery place, a dreamy place, a deeply spiritual place. And there is like a music festival happening there, or some sort of like illicit rave with like a really long playlist, of people performing. There will be, so all of that happens with the moon and the eclipse, and about 5 hours after that, Saturn makes the shift into sidereal Pisces. And that is like the final straw in this party. Now, the party's actually been going on for a while. Inside of sidereal Pisces has been outer planet Neptune. So Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, Pluto. We're going to look at those planets and really read into influences in the collective. So Neptune, I freaking love Neptune, to be honest with you. I think that's what my favorite outer planet. Oh, it's spirituality, it's artistry, it's super dreamy, it's, new agey, it's creative, innovative, slow moving planet. So slow collective influence, right? It'll be in the collective, influencing from the place of its influence for quite a while. And so Neptune's in there, but then the party starts getting stacked, right? Venus, well, take that back. Rahu, north node of the moon, has been moving through all of Pisces for the last 1.5 years. And Rahu moves in retrograde fashion. So starting at 30 degrees, and right now Rahu's at like 3 degrees, something like this. So I love how I like never give you exact things. I was like, you'll just look it up yourself. I'm about these general themes. And so Rahu's been moving through, moving through, moving through, moving. So wherever Rahu is, wherever Pisces is in your chart, this north node of the moon, this intense desire and super Vayu, wind influence. So it might have been kicking up, it might have been juicy, it might have been like, it might have been spinning out of control. Desires might have been spinning out of control. You may have been, you may have made some bad choices. You may have made some really great choices. Rahu isn't inherently a bad thing. It's really just how you manage desire and passion, right? It's called choose wisely. Apply wisdom. All right. Don't move with haste. So you've got that influence, right? Then Venus showed up to the party. Venus was going in normal fashion, and Venus loves Pisces. Venus is exalted in Pisces. So astrology, Venus is masculine, but please. So, oh, she's feeling herself. She's feeling herself. She's in the palace. She's in the river. She's in the bubbling brook. She's in the hot spring. Oh, she's enjoying. She's lounging. She's laying on the rock by the side of the river. She's being fed grapes in the hot spring with massages and this is and that's is all the things. And then she starts moving in retrograde fashion. And while that intensifies some things, it's not really inherently bad in any way because she's still exalted. She's still feeling fan freaking tastic. But then we gotta ask these questions of, is she gonna cross paths with anyone moving backwards? And she is moving towards Rahu. And so that's something, that's like, be aware, passions, be aware. Make good choices. Next person shows up to the party is Mercury. Mercury, fast-moving planet, and Mercury comes in, and Mercury is like a chameleon. Mercury loves a good party. And Mercury is happy to hang out with Venus and pretty much happy to hang out with anyone, but any stronger personality, stronger malefic, with a stronger malefic, Mercury gets lost in their combust. And whoever's the strongest character, Mercury will take on that character. So it's still like Mercury went retrograde, which means transportation, communication, electronics, haywire. What's super positive for us means review, going back over, research. Excellent things for Mercury retrograde. Buying a car? No. Venus in retrograde, save that plastic surgery. Like we look to these kind of things like, hell, a haircut, and be aware, So, but Mercury is fast moving. Eventually, Mercury is going to be going forward. So Mercury is, let's say, acting like an amplifier. So then we would say, well, what are the houses that Mercury rules? And where do they sit in your chart? What are the houses that Venus rules? Taurus, Libra, Virgo, the other one I'm forgetting, right? So next up, right about mid-month this month, was the sun. Okay, now the sun, well, the sun is a very beautiful and important planet. Because of the sun's intensity and heat and gaze, the sun actually acts as a malefic. It's not in the benefic category, like Venus, like Mercury. So now, okay, malefics are showing up to the party. We already have Rahu in there, who's definitely a malefic. Neptune isn't really in the mix for sidereal Vedic Jyotish astrology because the three outer planets weren't part of the mix, but we can start to infer, what's happening here. It's like Neptune, neither malefic nor benefic, just really intense. Another amplifier. So Sun shows up, and then, okay, well, who did Sun have to cross paths with to even come into Pisces? Saturn. Saturn-Sun conjunction, tense. Sun had to cross paths with Rahu, also intense. Very fast-moving moon zips on in, and that's how we get our new moon. Sun and moon are in Pisces. Rahu, Neptune, retrograde Venus, and retrograde Mercury. Quite the party. Even all that party, still a party. Until 5 hours after the new moon when Saturn shows up. And the doors open and the cold wind blows in. And the record goes. And it is game on. Now, Saturn's actually quite happy in Pisces. So this is going to be a big deal because the last 5 years, 2.5 years in a sign. The last 5 years. Need I remind you, it's 2025. This started at the end of 2019, and I think we all know what happened. Turning 2019 into 2020 and all the things. Yes, Saturn influence. Saturn transited through its own signs, Capricorn, Aquarius. And so we got the contraction and we felt the stricture and we felt the wind. So Saturn is wind and Rahu is super wind. So this is our first troublesome quality that we can say, okay, it might get really windy. Where? Well, if you literally wanted to know where, you would look at the where Pisces is in your chart and see like the body part alignment. Kind of funny. Like for me, it's in my 11th house. That's like my ankles. And oddly enough, actually, that I say that, the last 2 days, I had a funny, makes no sense pain in one of my ankles that felt like air trapped in the joint. And then I just did a bunch of Pavanmuktanasana and kind of rolled around and loosened my shoe and like everything was fine. Classic. That's what I'm saying. You can actually see the correspondence in the body. So you can find out where is it about to get super windy. This from the first house head, second house face, third house neck, fourth house heart, fifth house, sixth house, like that goes down the body. Funny. Yeah, that's funny. So Saturn be showing up to the party and conjunct Rahu, and we're gonna get that for 2 months, basically, through the end of May. And that's the thing. But it's also all the thing, right? Because that's a lot of planets in one place in the zodiac. And because of the connection at this moon of Rahu, Venus, and Mercury, that means that 6 of the 12 houses in the zodiac are activated. So this is kind of a whomper, you know. So I was leading a course just before hopping on this fun sesh. And the analogy that I used for the lead up, because this has been a really intense week. Intense positive, intense constructive, but intense. Intensity is really amping. So it's kind of like the pressure cooker, right? So if you're cooking with a pressure cooker, and it's a big pressure cooker, I'm not talking about an Instapot, a genuine pressure cooker. And you put it on the stove. It's a big one, and you have a lot of stuff in it. Like you're making like Kashmiri beef, or like a big thing of like jackfruit khichdi or something for the veg heads. And there's a lot of substance, there's a lot of water in there. So the thing goes on the heat, right? You turn the heat on, and it's doing its thing, and it makes a lot of sounds. And the goes up and the goes down. Not full on. No. But it could be quite a while where the heat and the pressure is building. You know? For us this time, it's like the wind in the water. It's building, it's a whole week building. When Saturn finally comes into play, that's like the but the pressure cooker isn't finished cooking when it releases the steam, maybe 1 time, 2 times. And then you turn the light off and you have to wait for the pressure cooker to cool off. It's still cooking. That's the 2 months after. And when Rahu changes signs, Rahu and Ketu, the north and south nodes of the moon, change signs, so something will let up. No. So we keep our cool. We ground. We take it slow. We be observant. We be in the passion of it all. We be present. When I pulled a card for this moon today, a tarot card, I pulled the sun. Celebration is the remedy. April 1 to 3 with all this conjunct business is a because the pressure cooker is still very hot and we're not going to cheat and put a spoon under the whatever you call that thing, the piston, the you know? Like, no, we're not going to cheat and let the steam out and no, because it's still cooking. And it's really important that the process be seen through to the end, to completion, to this delicious fall off the bone, absolutely saturated jackfruit feel. No, no. Can you tell I'm hungry? Literally, I'm saying that and like my mouth is watering right now. Almost dinner. Okay. You know. So Saturn changing signs is a massively big deal for you in some way. You need to look at your birth chart and see where is Pisces. You need to look at your sidereal chart and see where's Pisces because something is about to be revelatory, a big change. And it could be exciting because Saturn's the taskmaster planet and the karma planet. And so Saturn's gaze is leaving somewhere that you have been under epic scrutiny. Something's going to lift. It will be exciting. So everybody who I'm talking to right now, they're like, the past 2.5 years, such and such an aspect. I'm like, just hang on. That one's going to conclude. And don't worry, a new one's coming. Except the last 5 years, Saturn has been very empowered to be very Saturnian, dry and cold and straight to the point, severe and focused and pushing and consequences. But Saturn in Pisces, even Saturn chills a little. Saturn likes Pisces, ruled by Jupiter. And that's the main benevolent factor that's saving the day. That all of this is ruled by Guru, is ruled by the teacher, the expansive, wealth generating, spiritually beneficent influence. And so it's about to get really spiritual. No, I gotta tell you, I'm here for it. Basically, that's what I'm built for. And I'm sitting here like, when do we get to the spiritual stuff? It's been really like material. And, even I've had to be like, structure, spreadsheets, plans, design. I'm like, but when do we get to the fun stuff? So, I'm super excited for this move. I don't care how crazy it gets. I'm here for it. But also, I've prepared myself, right? You had a winter, right? We're in the early spring that you had all the time to prepare yourself, your container, all the things, and this 5 years with Saturn in its own signs. Now it's if spirituality is a connection in your life construct, then some things are going to get really interesting and maybe even exciting. Neptune's in the mix, so there's that masses component. We might see new spiritualities. Now, I don't want to be a party pooper or anything because I want to hold room for like really exciting spiritualities, like decolonization as a spiritual practice. Yeah. And I think we're going to see some real interesting things from both extremes. I think we're going to see a lot of like extra love and light bypassy stuff, a la New Agey vibe that isn't going to be about decolonization, isn't about rematriation, isn't about social justice. We might see some real wackadoodle stuff as like the wellness industry is taking huge leaps and strides. this is also about new technology. So what we might be seeing are things with AI, VR, I don't know, robot preachers. I don't know, y'all. It might get weird and sci-fi up in that end. And already we're seeing in the extreme conservative end what's happening in the United States with, uh, putting religion back into governance. But I mean, okay, separation of church and state. So reuniting of church and state. I'm sorry, may I know which church? Like, are you serious? The most like racist, fundamentalist, evangelical. That's what's going back. The attempt. Wow. Wow, America. Wow. So real unstable and wackadoodle, right? Just a history bubble remind you at the colonists that came over, the church for them was largely the Protestant church. And if they were English, the Anglican church is who came over here because they were so extreme and so fundamentalist, they got kicked out. Those pilgrims, they were booted out of Holland. They're like, we're sorry. Like, y'all are too much. Either we're gonna put you down or you can get out and go to the New World. And that's your freaking Mayflower. You know? And who came over after that? Protestants. Some Catholics like that, but the churchy stronghold here, is a different doctrinal view here, meaning in America, a different doctrinal view. So it's just an interesting little thought bubble to think about, like for Europe, the church. It's always the Catholic Church until the breaking off of Protestant, creation of Anglican, and then a few more factions that arise with that. And that's about land ownership and extreme wealth. So, hey, every day's a great day for decolonization. In order for us to do that, we need lots of history thought bubbles. And just like linking it all together. But what is this like flim flam floozy thing going on in America? Oh, wow. Wow. Extra. Super extra. And of course, hypocritical to the bone, is the thing. But social justice thought bubble, y'all, complaining and pointing out the problem and being like, this is ridiculous, doesn't do anything. It moves no needles whatsoever. And it's actually a distraction from what you should be focused on, which is your grounding, your rematriation, your healing, and being part of the skills acquisition, dreaming and designing of our collective liberated future. And that includes action items such as small scale, micro mutual aid. 2 to 3 friends, couple households coming together and starting to knit and weave and stitch together. There's plenty for us to be doing right now. And if we could progress in the syllabus a little bit, I think that would be great. Moving pretty slow at the moment. But I mean, I'm very impatient. So I came from the future and I'm waiting. In the meantime, I personally focus on regaining, a huge spectrum of my health and wellness because longevity, vitality, y'all. We got to be strong enough for the long haul. And we got to be here for the long haul like this. Got a lot to do. Oh. So, there's so much mixed bag news about this moon because there's just so much fear mongering right now. It's just everything's going towards the fear mongering. So, of course, any giant celestial event, and I'm not going to downplay the intensity of what's going on, the severity of what could be, but I'll be straight up. If you took the time to lay a foundation of preparation, then you will weather whatever comes your way. whatever might get eclipsed in or eclipsed out, you're in the awareness, the soft and cool, you know, alertness awareness, when it's time to let something go, when something's getting clipped in, responsiveness. Like me, I'm running a whole event within this exact portal. Already things got clipped in, clipped out. You just keep your cool. Give that positive reminder to everybody else. Hey, grace is a beautiful tool. Give some to yourself. And then every single person that crosses your path while you're trying to fly from the United States to Morocco over 2 days, you know, show grace just to anyone and everyone who crosses your path. So whether you're flying to Morocco or not, show grace. No, it's still Mercury retrograde. Show grace. I know. Things are going to amp up. People are not prepared. Show grace. I would say what I've observed this week and humans I've interacted with, the major kryptonite is the mounting um, uncertainty. We've been saying it for quite a while right now that, it's Team Satan's turn. I know they're having a heyday. Their style of evil is devoid of humanity, cruel, withholding, like a starvation kind of tactic, revengey, like everything you would think of, like if you were going to brand Team Evil, like what would they? Oh, they'd be revengey and hateful and spiteful and greedy and all that. Like check, 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 check. It's like Chat GPT designed these people. You know, they have power at the moment. They're so reckless, flippant. No, no clear plan. So no discernible outcome. And I think this is starting to get to people. I think this is really starting with all that Vayu energy, all that wind energy. This is really starting to amp up the anxiety. And as events happen, because the mundane astrology indicators are there for flood, for earthquake, for volcanic activity, for war, for violence, like this, unfortunately, these indicators are there. So we're seeing it. And so there's nowhere for these event-based stressors to land. There's no bandwidth. It's all just piling on. This is rough. This is rough for sure. And so how can we manage the uncertainty of it all? There is no remedy in the sense of there's no reverses or, oh, it's uncertainty, so I'm just going to cultivate certainty about a lot of things. We call that in the South Asian, yoga, even this and that, paripraksha bhavana. Like, oh, you have an emotion that, negative emotion, just apply the opposite positive. And you can't do that here. You have to learn to hold the opposites. The opposite isn't uncertainty and certainty. The opposite is self-love and confidence and uncertainty. And when you hold those two pairs, where you're faced, what you're doing is what Sonia Renee Taylor called in her book, The Body Is Not an Apology. She called it being fear-facing. We root in embodied radical self-love, holding the opposites of wanting to do transformative work and wanting to avoid it and run from it at the same time. We hold those opposites as a naturally arising human experience of pleasant and unpleasant feelings at the same time. And we be fear facing. That's the how. And the why is because that's the path to divine enoughness. That is the path to tapping into source energy. That is how we move through this. We be fear facing. We center the body as the meeting place of the work. We use the rest tools and the healing tools and the ancestral tools to connect in radical self-love. And we hold the opposites and we be fear-facing. We will have to soldier forward. But it's a spiral dance, and sometimes it's spirally forward and sometimes it's spirally backwards. Like this. But that's bravery. That's the bravery that's called for right now. And what you're going to see is everybody doing everything but this. This is the vibe. I recorded the Nidra today, so I'll put it in the link. Plug it in. There's so much. I mean, there's endless things we could talk about this moon. You know, there's more things we could talk about. But for me, this is the succinct message. The Sun card is what was pulled in times of what feels dire. The practice is celebration in community. So March 30th, that night is the opening of the Spring Goddess portal. If you get down with the Maz, Shakti is the remedy. We need to be in celebration. Build your altar, rest with her, enjoy. Consider all her manifestations, in particular her wrathful ones. Durga, Kali, Dashma Vidyas, Chinnamasta, Bhairavi. That's who's called for right now. You know? We need the savioress in this time. And so we celebrate and we simplify. This isn't the moment for like deep meditation. No. Artistry, upliftment, creativity. Paint your body in mud and dance around. You know, impeccable self-care, impeccable nutrition. All the things. And we will ride the wave being fear-facing. That is the message. I trust it is received and also celebrated. So I'll pause here.